Okay, so this is the first prac, and we're going to enter some data into Excel. Then we're going to open up SPSS, import that data from Excel into SPSS, and then do some descriptive stats and a couple of plots. So I'm going to do this using Adapt. This is not what you'll have in the labs, but it'll look pretty similar, but it's what you're going to have access at home, and therefore you're probably watching these videos at home, so it's the most useful. So first of all, how do you get Adapt? So go to the uni website, students, and then you have Adapt. So click on Adapt. And you're going to have to log in here. And it's the first time I've done it, and it says, look, you're going to have to install stuff. So you go through all that instructions. I'm not going to record that. I'll come back in a second. If you're not sure about getting it all set up, if you actually go to search Adapt Adelaide and go here, there's a whole section here on Adapt. Adapt stands for any device, any place and time. But all I do is you can get the software you need for your work at home. There is setup guides here you can follow through, then you can log in, etc. You often need some extra software if you want it to run quite fast. If you're having any difficulty, the people at the Teaching Hub, they're really good. You can take in your laptop, etc., and they can help you. So I'll be back in a second after I have set up my Adapt. Okay, so that's all installed. Notice in a separate app called Citrix Receiver. Yours might look different. Yours might be Windows or Unix or whatever, but there's the general idea. So at the moment, you've got three tabs at the top: favorite, desktop, apps. Desktops, basically, if you set that up, it will look like your monitor will look in the labs pretty well. A little bit of changes. But what we really want is apps. So I've got no favorites at the moment, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to apps. And we need Excel. So I scroll down until I find somewhere here, Excel. Publisher, Excel. Cool. Click on details. Add to favorites. That's really good. The other thing I'm going to do while I'm in here, I'm going to go back to apps, and I'm going to find SPSS down the bottom somewhere. I'm assuming it's here somewhere. SPSS number 23. That's really cool. Details. Add to favorites. That's nice. And also I'm going to, because I might want to upload files, etc. from my computer that I'm using onto the Adapt servers, I'm going to go and details. I'm going to add my desktop to favorites as well. So now click back on favorites, all ready to go. So let's start with Excel. So to run it, you click it and it starts. Now you might already have Excel on your computers, you don't need to do this if you do, but what you probably don't have is SPSS. So this will take a while, it's connected to the servers. Right, so we have Excel, blank workshop, we'll start with that. So here's our Excel. So these little squares, if you don't know, are called cells, and we're going to enter data into this. It's a nice, easy way of entering data. A lot of the data you'll be provided as Excel spreadsheets by me, but if not, this is how you enter it. There's a simple rule to get it so it goes into SPS easily, and that is that every single row will be a single subject, and each column will be a variable about that subject. So the question you have to ask whenever you're given data is, what are subjects and what are the things I measure on them? So let me we go to the prac. Now, often if I give you data in any pracs, you can find out about that data by going right to the end, the USB appendix, which will tell you. So what we're doing here, we've got a thing called the RATS data. So ozone is, you may have heard it's basically O3, and we're worried that it might have an effect on weight. So we've taken 70-day-old rats, and one group of them was kept in an environment containing ozone for 7 days, and the second group, same age, again 70 days old, which we're going to call the control group, were kept in an ozone-free environment at the same time. And at the end of that, we looked at the weight gains to the nearest gram. So for example, this is the first rat. This was in the control group, and it gained 41. Second rat, 42, 39. This one obviously has got negative, so it's lost 17 grams. And then this are the ozone group. So you've got 10, 7, 18. And you know, if you glance through these, it's hard to tell, but these numbers look maybe a little bit less than these numbers. Hard to tell looking at them. We've got n equals 22. That means there is 23 rats in this group and 22 in this group. And we need to enter this data. So, first question, what are the subjects? Well, the subjects are the rats. How many rats do we have? We have 23 in this group and 22, so all up we have 45 rats. So what are the variables? Well, if you think about it, we know two things about each rat. We know its weight gain, and we know which group it's in. Now, often what people do is they have a dying urge to go in here and enter in this row all the rats' weights in the first group. So, you know, I could start and I could go, okay, well, we've got 41, or in fact, I'll call it control group. And I can go, I've got 41, and then the next one was 26, and then they go across here and we go, well, we've also got the ozone group, and this one's 10, and then I've got 7. And you know, you could enter all your data. The problem is, remember the simple rule, one row, one subject. If you look at this row, row number 2, this has got 2 subjects in, this rat and this rat. So you've already broken the rule. So that is rubbish. Let's get rid of it and start again. So how do I do that? Well, first of all, what have we got? We've got the weight of each rat. And what's the second thing we know about each rat? We know which group it is in. So the first rat, no problem, 41. Which group is it in? It's in the control. Second rat, well, second rat is 26, and it's in the control. And we'll continue adding them. Okay, so now I've entered all of the first group. So now I go to the next group. This one had 10. So we know its weight gain, and which group is it in? It's in the ozone. And I continue down like that. Okay, so now I've got these first lot are my control group, and then these are my ozone group. Each row is a single rat, so this is the first rat in the ozone group, and each column is a single variable. This variable is weight, which would be a quantitative random variable. In fact, it would be a continuous quantitative. Well, this one is which group you're in, and this is a categorical. It is a nominal categorical random variable. So now the only thing I need to do is save this data. So we go File, Save As. Where should I save it? Well, best thing to do is go into your folder. You'll check this with your thing, but normally the U drive is where you want to do it. In this folder, I've got one called Data. I'm going to put it in there, and I've already got the rats, but let's overwrite that with that. So I'm going to call it something I remember, rats, got it in Data, Excel spreadsheet. Or what is this? Do I place it? Yours have been used, you don't have to do that, but yes. Okay, so we now have the data in there, and we've saved it. So now let's get that into SPSS.